Okay. Hi, everyone. Um, I am recording this, but I'm only going to share the speaker view. So if you want to have your camera on, you won't be recorded. There won't be there's a lot of people that sign up for this and then don't show up, but you don't have to have your cameras on either. I have a little routine that I go through every year when I do this. I'll do some screen sharing and stuff like that. But thanks for coming. And I'd love to hear from you. I have Purvi, I have your question that you submitted, and Muriel, is that how you pronounce it? Yeah, great. I have your question as well, and I think it's best I just kind of show you. So why don't I start with some of those topics, and then I'll let you ask your follow-up questions, and then from there I'll kind of go through the rest of the things I want to cover. And if you're good, you don't have to stick around. Okay, so the big question that everyone has is time. Do I have to show up? How much homework is there? And all of that. Okay, so this is a synchronous course, which means we go through it together in real time. And also, we have people from all over the world. And so not everybody can show up to every single session. And I'm fine with that. My recommendation is that you show up to hopefully one a day if you can. If you have a full-time job, the only time it's really challenging is if you're in Pacific time zone. But if you're in East Coast or Central, you can usually attend the evening one or something. People in Europe can usually attend the morning sessions. They usually attend session 1 or 2. And then the people in Asia and Australia usually attend sessions 2 and 3. And we have this great crossover. So it's not like you can't miss sessions, but you also can't just check out and just watch the recordings. Well, I mean, I guess you could, but you will fall behind because it is very we work through it together and I'm very involved. I'm not just lecturing at you and pre-recording it. I'm 100% there and in, and there's a lot of back and forth between you individually and me. So I make sure you get the concept. That said, we meet on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I offered a weekend one this year and I'll never do it again because women, this is my big feminist rant, women's weekends don't belong to them. I've never had more, I can't do this because I have to do this for my kids or my husband or my spouse or my pet or my whatever. And it's been really challenging. And I think when the kids are at school and the spouses are at work, you actually get to have some of your own time, even if you have a job. And the nice thing is then if you miss some sessions, you have the weekend where you can, in your own time, catch up. I think it works better that way rather than me taking your whole weekend and then you have to catch up during the week when you're working and all of that. So in all the years previous, I had done it on weekdays and I did this by special request. And it was a good experiment, but not the best result. So that being said, we only meet for 3 days and then we have 2 full weeks off in between. So we meet every 3rd week. And I do that on purpose because you have a life, you need to assimilate, you need to get caught up. And then also the sessions are only 90 minutes and then you get a 90-minute break. And that's a really good thing for you as well. You just show up 90 minutes, you can put your phone down, you can pay attention, and then you have time to go handle the things that you need to handle. I've gotten really great feedback on the schedule because I'm not keeping you online all day long, right? Also, I'm very good at understanding that you all learn in layers. And so the training doesn't really have much of a beginning and end progression, right? If you miss the lecture from the morning and you show up to the workshop in the afternoon, you'll be able to keep up. I'm very good at kind of layering things over and making sure that you get things from different directions. People learn differently with the homework, which I'll get to in a moment. Some people like to do the homework first, then show up to the training. Some people, they would rather do the training and then do the homework after. Do you know what I mean? I'm really flexible with all of that. I just want you to get the concepts. So you're not going to fall behind if you miss. And I even recommend, because Purvi, that was one of your questions, that you might have to join a little late on one of the sessions. Great. I don't want you to sub out your classes. This is a yoga training. You should teach your yoga classes. Don't do that just to be here. but show up 20 minutes late. It's fine. You will get more out of it by being in real time than you will if you're like, oh, I'll just watch the recording. We do a lot of discussions. We do little miniature little breakout rooms. It's not much, but it gives you a chance to put the concepts into your own words instead of just listening to me. Because what happens is I say, does everyone understand? And you all stare at me and you're like, uh-huh. And then I ask you to like say something and you're like, well, I don't really quite understand it. So it's just, it gets like, an opportunity to be a little bit messy and talk to your friends and your peers, and everybody's always like really easygoing and fun. And so, yeah, show up to whatever you can, even if it's late. I have a moderator for every single session. And so it distract me. She's taking attendance, she's managing the chat, she's, letting me know, she's taking notes in the attendance sheet if you had to leave early, all that stuff. So I'm fully present and just teaching. And, if you leave early or come late, it won't make a difference to me. I mean, I want you there the whole time, but it won't distract me is the point. You won't be disruptive if that's what you're worried about. Okay, before I get to the homework and the time commitment and all that stuff, are there any questions on that, on the logistics? No?
Yes, Jules, so I
Yeah,
was looking
yeah.
for how many weeks or how many months is the training?
So we meet for 3 days, March, April, May. So there's 4 weeks for module 1. So it's 4 weeks times, 3 days, separated by a couple weeks. Then we have the summer off because you're all on holiday, you've got kids out of school, all the things going on. And then we meet again September, twice in October, the first week, the last week, and then in November before Thanksgiving, and then we're done. So that's the schedule. Somebody asked what happens in between modules 1 and 2. You deal with your life and you also get caught up on homework that you fell behind on. You do some review because we review all of the concepts from module 1, the first few days of module 2. There's like a final little sequence that you write for module 1 for a group class. And then module 2, we move into private lesson, and the final project that you have for the private lesson for module 2 incorporates all of the material from module 1. So you kind of just like layer over things and get caught up, and let me know any gaps that you have. And so that's part of it. During that time is when we have our second one-on-ones during the summer, well, it might be winter depending on where in the world you are, but during the middle break, that is when we do the one-on-ones. So we have a one-on-one before, just to talk about your schedule and get you onboarded and make sure you know how everything works. Then we have a one-on-one in the break. You let me know what questions you have. Sometimes people just show up with a business question. Sometimes people are like, I can't wrap my head around chapter 3, help me. It just depends on what you need. And that's when I check in with you. And there's actually new homework for module 2 during that time. And then at the end, we have another call just to make sure you're grasping everything and what you need to go forward. Because it's online, so I've done this format now 5 years or whatever, 5 years, I think, and it is fewer hours than we would if we were in person, but it's not less education. There's a little bit of a difference when I'm in a room teaching in person. There's a lot of talking and activity and when it's online, there's less of that because, like Michelle, just happened to you, you're looking for the mute button, and like everyone's like, oh, I don't want to talk on screen as much. So I tend to power through material. It's like I don't waste a second. It's like, here's the content. Think about it while you're on a walk on your break, and we're going to come back and we're going to do this. So my time is more efficient. And you can always go back and listen to the recordings. So that's really nice too, because sometimes you're like, oh, I missed that. I can just write down the timestamp, catch the recording. I don't need to repeat it 3 times. If you're still struggling, then that's when we just do it one-on-one. And there's homework. And the homework I'll show you this is not university. It is not about what you know. because that's one of the questions. What do I need to know to start the training? What's the foundational knowledge? The foundational knowledge, that was your question, Kia, is you need to know about the yoga poses somewhat. If I say triangle pose, I need you to know what triangle pose is. That's about it. Because we're going to go over all kinds of interesting things. You know, in fact, the more you know, the more you have to unlearn. so I'm really chill about anatomy. We have a whole anatomy section on how I like to teach anatomy. Don't need to know the names of all these things. All the biomechanics you'll learn from me. You get the stretching webinar, you get the book club, you get we do all of the lectures for my book in the training. You also get the book club for free, and you get all the recordings for that. So it's like you get the information coming at you from all different directions. But I assume you know the yoga poses. Sometimes I use some Sanskrit names. Sometimes I use some English names. If you don't know the Sanskrit, just type in the chat and your peers will help you out. Like, what pose is that? But a lot of times I'm upstairs demonstrating it and you'll figure out what pose it is because I'm doing it. So that's about it. Okay. So let's look. I'm going to do a screen share. Okay, can you all see the screen that says welcome? Yeah, okay, great. So this is what the course portal looks like. And when you log in, there's a video here that is like a 15-minute tour of the whole thing. I'm not going to give you the whole tour now because I'm not signed up yet and it's a lot, but that's all it lives there. So you can watch and learn. And then this is where everything lives. So this is where we have our lectures, our workshops, yoga classes, practices, all the guest teacher content, all the bonus content. Like here, I'll just show you. Here's a whole book club that they got. They were allowed to take it live, and also it lives here. I just had a stretching webinar last week. That lives here. You'll get the July one. All kinds of yoga classes that I upload. All kinds of like little mini workshops to like reinforce some of the things we talked about. Bonus lectures that just from things that come up, the resistance stretching course. So you get all this stuff in here and just lives there. But if I go back to the curriculum, let me show you the homework tab, because this is always the big question, like how much homework is there? There's a lot, but it's not, like I said before, it's not university. The reason there's homework is because I want you to talk to me. I can't sit and have lunch with you on our breaks. So instead, I want to hear from you. And I read every word you write. And the questions are open-ended questions. Like I don't want you to craft a PhD. Please, I have to read it all. Don't do that to me. But what I'd like to say, I'll show you some example of questions. So like, here's the osteoporosis podcast. So what I have you do is I have you read this research paper. It's not that challenging. And you don't have to be good at reading research. If you're good at reading research, you don't need the training, right? So you read the research paper and then you listen to a podcast where my friend Ariana and I kind of broke down the paper. So I don't make you read it blind. I give you a podcast where we go through it. And then these are the questions that I ask you. What do you agree with? Why? What do you disagree with? Why? Make a note of some of the data you discovered in the paper that we didn't talk about. Like, is there anything that caught your eye? If you answer, I didn't see anything, that's a valid answer. Like, I'm not grading this. Like, I need to know you didn't see anything. To me, that means, okay, we need to spend a little extra time when we're meeting talking about this paper. I need to help you figure out how to find data in a research paper, right? If everybody knew all of this, then everybody got straight A's, we wouldn't need to be here, right? So it's not like that. You can really literally say, I don't even know where to find data in a research paper. The podcast helped, but not enough for me to answer this question. Great, that's good information for me. And then here, what are your beliefs about the effects of yoga on bone density based on the evidence, right? That's the style of homework. So somebody asked, how long does it take? Well, the podcast is probably a little less than an hour. You can listen to it when you're driving or on a walk, right? Paper is probably 4 or 5 pages. It's not very hard to read this one. And then those are the questions. So it can, just depending on how in-depth your answers are, I tend to attract a lot of type A's. So some of them are very long, but let's look at some other examples. Here for this one, this is fun. You read a couple pages, chapter 2. You read chapter 2 in Leanne's book, and then you make these folds and upload a photo. That helps you get used to like uploading things into the content, and so then there's just a few little, like here, you read this page 28 and 29, and then you answer this question. So they're really relevant to what we're doing, but they're ways that I can I'm not watching you fold a blanket in a real room. So this way you're kind of doing it for me. It's my way to get to know all of you, get inside your brains. The really cool thing about the homework is that all of it is scheduled way up front. So when you get access on January 1st, this is what it looks like. There are no surprises. I know you're busy. I know you don't need things given to you last minute. So you see here, these are the things that are due March 1st. And then these are the things that are due April 15th. So you kind of have something right before we start and then midway. And then here, this is September 1st and October 15th. And on January 1st, you can get access a little early. I try to give it to you by December 15th. So you have the holidays to kind of get started. And there's nothing coming up. There's no surprises. So again, if you want to do all of it before we meet in March, because you're going to get busy, that's fine. If you don't want to do any of it, I mean, that's what some people do. You will suffer in the sessions because we do call back to some of this. But let's just say all you got around to was listening to the podcast. You didn't get the homework done. You don't fail the training. Listen to the podcast, show up to the course, learn from our discussions, and then do the homework. That's fine too. It helps me if you do it on time. So I know who I'm teaching. So I beg of you to do it on time, but I don't punish you if you can't. And so again, the question well, what happens in the interim between module 1 and 2 is when people kind of start the new homework and finish up some of the older homework that they didn't have time for. So that's it. Some of them are a little longer, some of them are not. Like this one's really fun. This is a yoga research literacy one for module 2. You have to find a paper. And I just had a one-on-one with someone in the training, and she was like, I don't know how to do this. And I was like, that's the point. She's like, how do I search for this question? I was like, that's what the homework is for you to realize if you type in 5 best poses for back pain in a research database, you're not going to get those answers. It's different than a blog, and that's the assignment. So you don't have to be perfect at it, So yeah, homework is really fun. Okay, the only exception to that is sometimes we have mini assignments. And the mini assignments would look like this, not pre-scheduled. These are things that come up while we're in the training. So for example, we had a workshop. Workshop is when I'm in the yoga room, and it was about somatic sequencing. And we had a nice discussion. And then I put you into groups, and I had you guys talk about a somatic lesson and how you'd use it in a yoga sequence. And that's the assignment. But if you weren't there, then you have to come over here and leave a little comment and do the, you know what I mean? You have to do the breakout room by yourself, basically. It's not hard, but and then I give you feedback. So I'm reading everything you say. Here's the sequence. So it's not hard. It's 15 minutes worth of thinking about it. But that's just my way of keeping you on track. Because if you don't do those assignments, then that's an essential part of the material. Another example might be, let me go to guest teachers. We haven't had too many of them yet. Okay, great. So we had a little assignment after we had a neuroscientist come, and then there was a little assignment, and they're usually I call them study questions. And there's just 8 little questions. They're multiple choice. If you were paying attention, it's fine. Also, you can take it as many times as you want. That's why I don't call it a quiz. They're study questions. They're me telling you, this is what I think is important. So you're not punished if you have to take it 10 times. That's not the point. And the reason why is because when you kind of put in together these projects at the end, it's really nice that you know what I was saying. This is what's important. These are the highlights. So yeah, that's the exception. Sometimes I'll do where you have to make a little video of something. I'll call it a social media, but it doesn't have to go on Instagram. Some people want to make a little 3-minute video for YouTube for their email list, or just sometimes you turn on the camera and talk to me because I want to hear your voices instead of your written word. But they're all little small things that should take under 15 minutes. And again, they're not, as you can see, there were some assignments here, but we didn't have one after every workshop, just some of them. And then again, if you were in the breakout rooms, you get credit and you don't have to do it after the fact. And that is because I have someone taking attendance and making your breakout rooms. And so we know who's there. So we handle all of that on the back end. I'm going to stop share for a second. Any questions on that?
Yes, Jules, Michelle again. So it looks like the homework doesn't necessarily correlate to the lectures. It's the workshops that tie to the.
No, they both do. They both do.
So, but if you're doing the homework assignment before the lecture has happened, are you?
So great question. No, because the only way I differentiate a lecture from a workshop is that the lectures happen here and the workshops happen on the yoga mat. So the lectures are sometimes us sitting here discussing the podcast that you listen to or something like that. But that way it's easier for you to find where the videos are, right? When you're like, if we sat around and talked like this, they're listed under lectures. And then if we were like on the yoga mat using props, doing things like that, then it's a workshop. But that's the only real difference. Let me think of an example. So okay, so for the homework for chapter 1, that is due before I give you the chapter 1 lecture. That is correct. Because you have the book and you can read the book. And I want you to read the book and I want you to ask those questions. And then I give you the lecture because we learn in layers. That said, you get the book club before the training even starts. That's in January, and you'll get those recordings as they come out. So you can listen to the book club if you don't feel like you are capable of reading chapter 1. Does that make sense? So you get the information from all different directions, but it gets harder. So I actually give you the chapter 3 lecture in the training before the chapter 3 homework is due, because that chapter is very complicated. But chapter 1, I kind of want to get a feel for who's coming into the training. Do you know what biomechanics is? Well, it's like an easier chapter. So it's strategic. And again, if you're doing the chapter 1 homework and you've listened to the book club and you've read the chapter 1 and you don't feel like you're ready to answer it and you want to wait until you have the lecture in the training, fine too. Right? It's really up to you to kind of navigate. But chapter 1, most people can do beforehand. It's nice to get a little head start. And then my lecture is more than just what's in the chapter. So the discussion topics, the homework is a discussion topic directly related to the chapter for that. Versus in the lecture that we have, I embellish and talk about all kinds of additional things. Expand upon it. Great question. Any other questions? While you do that, while you unmute yourselves if you're thinking, I'm going to pull up the book list and show it to you all. Okay. Any other questions on the homework? The homework is honestly one of the favorite parts of the training. I know it sounds crazy, but it's not, because it's not an exam, right? It's people are into it because it really helps them connect the dots, and because it is a direct line to me. That's the best part about it. So I have a huge spreadsheet and I take notes there's all your homework. And then if there's something in your homework where you ask me a question, you'll be like, oh, I really thought I understood viscoelasticity when you gave the lecture. Now that I have to answer this question, I don't really quite get it. I copy that answer, put it in my spreadsheet, and when we're on a one-on-one, we can go over it. If it's sometimes a little question, I'll just send you a message immediately and I don't answer every single homework. That would be impossible. You don't want me to do that, and I don't want to do that. But sometimes if it's something quick to answer, I'll be like, oh, the answer to your question's on page 72. Take a look at that. And if you still aren't sure, when we do the lecture together, advocate for yourself and ask a question and I'll go over it again. Sometimes I'll do that. Or sometimes I'll just send you a quick message. Haha, I read the joke in your homework and it was great. I loved it. You know, like it just, you know, you get these random little messages from me. But it's specifically curated. It's not just busy work is the point. It's specifically curated to layer on to your learning. I don't know if you all know this about me. My mom was a college professor and my father was an engineer. So me teaching you physics and biomechanics is like my dharma. So I really care really about you getting it. And actually I have the tools to help you get it. Okay, let me share screen again. So these are the books that we use. And I'm not going to overwhelm you. The only books that you read in full over the year are mine. But again, some people, I promise you, don't read it all. They just use the lectures and the recordings to get through the material, but that's fine. And Todd's. You read Todd's book in entirety. It's a really easy read and it's phenomenal. He's so good with words. All the other ones we just read sections of. So you're not going to be bogged down with a lot of reading. Again, all of the papers that you read, I think there's like 5 research papers you read and these books, and they're given to you all up front so you can manage your time. And then we have these 2 workbooks. These are both free on the internet. One is Greg Lehman's pain book, and he will lecture about that, and you'll use a page of it in one of your projects, but you don't have to like read it cover to cover or anything like that. And then same with this little debunking handbook. They're just like online tools. So those are the books. This page lives at the bottom of my website under my recommendations if you want to get a head start on it. That's where the page lives. And I've just got some stuff on here, but this is the reading list. And then also, we have a private network. Some of you are in here already, but if you're not, this is what it looks like. This is the 2025 cohort. The 2026 cohort is here, but I haven't invited anyone yet because I'm waiting till it gets closer. But here's what it looks like. And you basically, it's like a feed, it's like a Facebook group, basically. That's what it is. It's a Facebook group and we talk about things. People post things. Here I was in New York and happened to run into at a basketball game someone in the training this year. It was so cool. So we took a picture. It's like, oh my gosh. So yeah, it's like a Facebook group, but it's really nice because all of the stuff lives in here. So things like video links, these are things that we saw in the training. I post them here. So they're like additional resources. And the direct message is how I usually get in touch with you during the training. So you're not getting millions of emails. We're just kind of using this little space to communicate. And that's pretty much it. Within the course portal, there's a link right here to the social network. It's also right here. So you don't have to remember the URL. You can just log in here and go to either one of these. Let's see. To log on to Zoom, you can click these Zoom links here, or if you go under like course admin, this is where we keep all the Zoom links. I'll show you a great example. So this was a link, and then when it's over, I put the recording path so you know where to find it. So if you're like, oh, okay, I missed Monday, March 17th, session 2. And so you can come here and you'll say, okay, it's under the lectures and it's called posture and shoulder articles discussion. And then you can just go. So everything's like cross-labeled and you can go find it. I think it was under lecture. What else? Payment plans. Let's talk about payment plans. I started doing that 2 years ago. This is my 3rd year doing it, and it's been a huge success. It's just easier to just get started and just have them auto drafted. The 10 installment plan has to start by September 1st, so that's coming up. And the 5 installment plan has to start by December 1st. So that we have a little bit more time for that. And that way I can confirm the training by January 1st. If I know enough people have joined, and that way you'll be paid up before the training is over. You do not have to pay a deposit if you're doing the payment plan. It's either the deposit and the balance by January 1st or the payment plan. The numbers all come out the same. So your first installment of the installment plan is the deposit, basically. So it'd be more complicated if you had to like do it twice, just one time, and then it just charges automatically on the same day every month and then stops when it's over. And then the graduate gathering, that's something I started because we have been online for a lot of years now. And it's a very international audience. We have people from all over and all different time zones. And I keep getting requests like, oh, are you going to do one in person? And then when they realize they have to get housing in Las Vegas for a month, people are like, online's not that bad. Like, okay, especially because I'm so organized and it's actually a well put together training online. So then people end up online. But the graduate gathering is like a week-long training that we do here in Las Vegas, and you're invited as soon as you are part of one of the cohorts. And I'm doing the next one. I've done one, I did it last year. I'm doing another one June of next year, first week in Las Vegas, and it's only graduates. So it's really nice, or members, if you're in between module 1 and 2, it's fine. But we get to go through a lot of the concepts and a lot of the hands-on, like looking at how people deal with gravity. I use this like buckling, bracing, yielding format. And we get to look at all of that in person. We do lots of like cool stuff with Chelsea and restorative and lots of business networking things. And it's so great because everyone's been in the training. So we're all at like a base level of knowledge. And so we just get to layer on. It's really fun. And then people meet their friends from their cohort. And then it's like they've never met in person. So you will be invited to that. That's separate, but optional. Just, it's a good time. And it's only a week, not 5 days, not 4 weeks of housing in Las Vegas. Okay. Any other questions?
I joined a little late, so you might have answered this at the beginning. How long would we have access to all of the recordings of the sessions and the content?
Great question. I did not answer it yet. My dream would be forever, but it costs me a lot of money to house this content. And so it just depends on my tech and tooling. It depends on like if something's going to push me over into like a next tier or something. But let me say this: 2020 has come down, but 2021, 2022, those have not come down yet. Those are still up. So at least 5 years would be my guess. Before yours would come down, 2021 will come down, right? Yours wouldn't be the first one. And when I did take 2020 down, I looked and nobody had logged in for 6 months yet, like to watch anything. And I emailed them and gave them 6 months to go in and watch everything before it came down. So by the time it comes down, you're going to have moved on. You're not going to be in there reviewing everything, I promise you. Or you'll like, in 20 years, be like, oh, that one lecture, But if I'm still around, just email me and I'll answer your question. You don't have to go digging for a video. So I don't have an exact date, but I let you have it. Especially because not everybody gets their certificate on time. I'm still getting, someone from 2021 right now is like, I'm reviewing all the material so I can get my certificate. Is that okay? I'm like, yes, go for it. So it's fine. It happens. And then some people do it right away. Just, it's a yoga training. Any other questions? Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Kia, were you going to ask? Oh, if we're not doing a payment plan, I don't remember seeing it. There is a deposit, right? So I can save a spot. And that's in the page?
Yep, I'll show you. Yes, on the payment options, there are all the options that you need. It's just taking a minute to load because I'm on video, but it's pretty far down the page. But if you scroll down on the page, right here are all of your options. You can just pay in full. You can do a payment plan. Here's all the terms, or you can pay a deposit and then come back later and pay the balance. So they're all right there. And I believe at the very top, if you click this, I think it jumps. Yep, it jumps to the bottom. So you don't have to do all the scrolling. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My other questions, you answered it within, so.
Yeah.
All good?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
it-
Anything else? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna ask about the book club, but then you
Mhm.
addressed that and then.
Yep.
Oh, restorative.
Mhm.
Is that, I don't know what my question is because I don't do a lot of restorative. And so.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. So the way we do restorative in this training is to learn to observe people's relationships with gravity. So like when we do the restorative section, it's really cool. Like some people will go on to actually teach restorative and some people won't, but it's what we do is we have you, when you're workshopping it, like do the active version of the pose, then set them up. And, and so you see how it correlates. So like some of the homework, you have to like set someone up in fish pose. So you have them do fish pose, like without anything, and you see what you see. And based on that, are you going to give them a rolled up blanket, or are you giving them a block under the back and a block under the head, and why? So it's like really hands-on, because in restorative, they are relaxing. And so now you have to kind of be their relationship with gravity. You know what I mean? You have to supply the props. So we use it to like, yeah, I mean, yeah, afterwards you can go teach a restorative class, but we use it to kind of like help you look at poses in a different way. Because, I'm not about, this is where your foot goes in triangle pose. I'm like, why are you telling this person to put their foot there, and how are you learning to look at it? And so that's kind of what we use restorative for. Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to like start teaching restorative. Although for the final project, you have to write out a restorative sequence. Which is always fun, but that's it. Like you just have to list 6 poses in an order that I approve. And then of course we talk about, with restorative, we layer on, like we talk about how it fits into stretching and how it fits into yin. And we have all those conversations, of course. And I think what ends up happening is a lot of people end up using a restorative pose or two at the end of their vinyasa classes, because it can be really lovely once you realize how you can prop people to help them. A lot of the people come to restorative wanting to fill all the gaps, but what we look at is, well, if you actually don't fill the gap and you place the blanket over here, that gap actually drops and settles. And so like you get more creative by looking at the poses.
What's the average size of the cohorts?
Around 20.
Okay.
Yeah, around 20. I don't think I've ever had more than 25. I don't think. Maybe I've had 26 or 27, but I cap it at 30 because that would just be too many. But around 20, and it won't run without 15. But I've never had that happen. So hopefully this isn't the first year. But yeah, because I mean, there's a lot of guest teachers. That as you saw, there's a lot of technology and a lot of time that goes into it. So yeah, we won't do it without 15. That's my minimum. Tell your friends. But yeah, 20. It's just organically. Even when I did it in person in the old days, when people did come here for 4 weeks, that it was always around 20. And I'm always hoping for a nice even number, like 24 would be ideal, because then I can do groups of 2s, 3s, and 4s, but that never happened.
Jules, I have a
Mhm.
question on the cohort gathering. It's
Mhm.
cohort specific. Did I get that right?
No,
It's not
you're all
graduate
invited.
specific.
It's graduate
So
specific.
so I could, if I wouldn't be able to make it in 2026, I could still make
Yep.
the trip in 2027 or 2028,
Yep.
or like
Yep.
after potential next election.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. 100%.
Good.
I like that you said a potential next election. There better be one. Otherwise, none of this is going to matter. But yes, yes, you could do it. I probably won't do one every year. I'll probably do it every 2 years is kind of my, every year's a lot, you know. The first year we had 36 people from all over the world. It was amazing. We had people from New Zealand, we had people from Taiwan, we had people from all over Europe, and then tons of Canadians, and it was great. I don't think we'll have that many in 2026 just because of the travel, but we'll have some. So yes, you can come anytime. Yeah. Good question. And if you have nothing else, I have one more thing to add, and then I'll take any last minute things. There is an elective that's not included, but the elective is not big. The elective is an extra little training, can be like a webinar or, you know, like a few hours. Could even be, you know, like a one-on-one with someone, or like a small on-demand course, or even a podcast, a couple podcast episodes or something. But the idea is that you fill a gap in the training, because my training is very much about biomechanics, somatics, pain science, stretching. We don't read the Bhagavad Gita in this training. I'm assuming you had exposure to some of that in your 200 hour, and this is really like a specialization of this material. And at the same time, I want you to fill those gaps in your training. So if you want something, if you really didn't have exposure to the sutras and you want to take a course on that, I'll help you with that. If maybe pranayama, although we do a lot of breathing mechanics, but if you want something, you know, more pranayama based, or if you want more marketing, I mean, I offer a lot of it, but not everybody wants it. But if you want more marketing or business, anything like that, I just require that it's from a South Asian teacher, Desi teacher, because even though I have studied 2 semesters of Sanskrit and at LMU, I did the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads, I'm not an expert in those topics. I'm an expert in the biomechanics topic. And so I would rather you learn from somebody that has the appropriate background. So I also want to elevate voices of teachers that don't get as much of a voice in our yoga world. And so what we do in the training, I actually have Indu come present on the history of yoga. And she lives in Toronto. She does this great little like lecture on some of the politics, some of the history, not as much philosophy, but kind of gets you started on that. And then after we have that, then we, in the network, we create a post where everybody shares a workshop that they found, a course that they found. And you don't have to take the one that you found, but we have this great database of South Asian teachers that you can go now look through and be like, oh, look at, Purvi found one that is actually everything I was looking for, but I couldn't find it, you know, and then Michelle might be like, oh, look, Kia found one that I'm interested in. And so we have this great database and that lives there, so that even outside of the training, we have a repository of South Asian teachers, so we can go back and look them up if we ever need them. So that's the point of the elective. And it doesn't have to be, like somebody once was like, can I do a 500-hour Ayurveda training? And I was like, yeah, but maybe after this training, don't make that your elective. That's a lot. Like that's, yes, you can share it, but like maybe just pick like a 3-hour Ayurveda webinar, Ayurveda cooking class or something if you want. Like, don't go crazy. But the reason why it's not included is obviously I can't choose that for all of you. So you just kind of go out and choose what's right. And sometimes if you do like a podcast or something, I just ask that you donate to the creators. Usually they'll have like a, donation thing so that they, get $20 for their efforts or something like that. So it's not just taking in free content. But yeah, that's the elective. Everyone gets worried about it, and it's actually really cool. Nice opportunity. Anything else? Exactly 45 minutes. I've got very good at timing lectures to the window that I've given myself. Okay, well, thank you for showing up. If you have any questions, just reach out. I'm around always. And I will get this recording out within 24 hours. So you'll get it in your inbox if you want to watch it. And so will everybody else who signed up and didn't make it. I appreciate you
Thank
being
you.
here. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Hope to see you.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.